Facebook, if you're watching this on replay, put hashtag replay. I'm going to share something I've never shared before publicly. I'm going to wait for this to go onto YouTube, but let me know where you're coming in from, what's going on Instagram. And hello, hello, hello. Well, today I'm going to share with you something publicly I have never shared publicly in my life before. I'm going to bear it all. And the goal is to show you how to go from being burnt out in network marketing to being blessed as well. My name is James Zhang. For the past 16 years, I've been a network marketing professional. I've been through loops, hoops, ups, downs, all arounds. Currently, we have just exited a year where we have literally 10x our own income and living the network marketing dream, traveling the world. We have a 1-year-old baby that's traveled more in his first year than my first 30 years of life. Our team is crushing it. We ranked in at number one out of 400,000 partners this last year. And a lot of people are winning. But it wasn't always like that. In fact, there was a lot of trial and tribulation that came before that. And we just got back from a month-long Asia trip. We got asked to speak. I'm super grateful at a couple of our company conferences. Turned it into an Asia trip as well too. And it finally gave us some time to sit down, reflect through this whirlwind of the last couple of years, and was asking the question, what changed the game from being burnt out to being blessed? And if you've ever been in network marketing before, maybe you currently are as well too, have you experienced burnout? It's a very real thing. You're hitting your head on the same wall, you feel like things aren't going to break through, and you're debating to yourself, should I continue to go? Especially right now, I'm doing this November 18th. I've noticed this is when people start to consider backing out of their dream, backing out of network marketing, trying to do other things. And I hope this message catches you at the right time. You might want to share this, tag a teammate onto this too, because I believe that there's going to be a couple principles today I'm going to share with you that will impact you, that will transform you, that'll help you go from being burnt out to blessed. But first, I got to share a story that goes behind this, and I promise you this will be really, really good. So I got started in network marketing. It was 2009. I was a broke college student at UC Berkeley trying to be a medical doctor. I was shy. I had no skills. I had no connections. But I got introduced to network marketing for the first time. And like many people, I was super skeptical. If you were skeptical when you first got introduced to network marketing, multi-level marketing, put a me in the comments below. Well, I thought it was a pyramid. I thought it was beneath me. I thought it was like second class, all the things. But then I met a mentor and I actually got a chance to really understand. Shout out to Tim Sales. He wrote an amazing program called Brilliant Compensation, which you can find on YouTube now. I recommend anyone that wants to look at network marketing, look at that. And it really logically pulled back the curtain of what network marketing was, which is simply a distribution network where the product goes directly from manufacturer to consumer. You can make money personally when you sell the product, but you can also build a sales team to do the same thing too. That's it, right? That's literally all network marketing is. So I recognize the genius. I love the concept. I love leveraged residual income. I love to know that you could actually scale a business and establish freedom. So the idea sounded good enough. Found some mentors, and really what interested me was who you could become. I didn't like who I was. I was super shy. I wanted a girlfriend. I'm like, I needed to pick up these skills. So I got started in this crazy thing and took it serious. And within a couple of years, was able to build up a decent income where I was able to not work a job anymore. Within 5, 6 years, built up a six-figure income. And life was good until it wasn't. In fact, all of a sudden, life hit and our business turned around. We lost 50% of our income in 1 year. At the time, our bills were super high. Many notes on financial stewardship in the future I'll share as well too. But long story short, if you've ever been in a financial negative whirlwind before, you're just trying to survive. You're just trying to think, how do we keep our head above water? There was a month where we were $12,000 a month negative in debt. And at the very end of it, we sold everything. We got out of the house. We did everything. We moved my family back into, now I was married. We moved back into my mother-in-law's office, converted into bedroom, ultimate failure. And I did something that I will share with you publicly now. And it was so bad to the point, hundreds of thousands of dollars of credit card debt, especially being Asian, bankruptcy is something you do not even think about. It's almost suicide. But I decided to declare bankruptcy myself. And that was the ultimate low blow. Here I was trying to be the man of the house, promising my wife an amazing thing, went to UC Berkeley, dashed my dreams there, being a medical doctor, feeling like an absolute failure. And things are so much pressure that I had to do that. And I know it's there in the laws and everything. And now looking back, I'm grateful that that option is there, but it's not something to be proud about. But it gave a reset. And still, though, even though financially it was reset, it's one thing to make sure that you can reset your finances. It's another thing to actually build it back up to success. And what I realized was I would take one step forward, two steps back. I never gave back on the network marketing dream. I wanted it to work. I tried everything under the sun, it felt like, but I kept on bumping my head against the wall. And ultimately, there was a couple of things. I'll share three things specifically today that looking back changed the game. And I'm so grateful, by the way. If you're going through a tough season in your life, financially, personally, emotionally, relationally, just know God's not done with you yet. Just know that God is the one that works everything together for the good of those who are called according to his purpose. Right? Just know I look back and actually it was the best thing to ever happen because I felt like I needed to be stripped down so God can build me back up. And sometimes the only way to do that is to be burned out, is to go rock bottom and everything. So if you're in that stage right now, God's not done with you yet. You might want to put that in the chat. God's not done with me yet. Your story is not yet over. God is good. If it's not good, it's not God. It's not done. There's more to the story. So you have to keep on going, and then the breakthrough's right around the corner. Well, fast forward later, we did relaunch things. Fast forward later, things started to click. And then all of a sudden, an acceleration period comes. And we just exited a year, like I mentioned before, that was the most blessed ever. We actually tithed the most to our church in our entire life. We just took a trip to Asia. We're very blessed. We did everything that we wanted to do, no stress. What it cost in a month was what we used to make in a year. And I'm not saying this to boast. I'm just saying times can change a lot. And the question is how. Here's three things. I hope that impacts you. So I'm telling you, I get it. I know what it's like to be burnt out, but I believe that network marketing is powerful. And I wonder if you believe that as well too. If it works well, would you want it to work for you? Right? Because if so, let me drop three things that I learned here and I'll unpack more as we go on throughout the days too. Number one, here's aspect number one that you need to be aligned with. This is what I realized with I was misaligned in a couple of key areas and I need to get back into alignment. What is that? Number one, leadership. Leadership. John Maxwell says everything rises and falls based on leadership. There was a couple things wrong with my leadership. Okay. What I realized was this. Here's one thing that was huge was my priority was off. You see, I believe a leader's number one priority is not to look good, is not to sound charismatic, is not to be a stage speaker. A leader's number one priority in a sales organization is showing people how to live. Jim Rohn says if you live well, you will earn well. And that doesn't mean just running your business, that means running your life. And I realized I was misaligned. I realized I bought into the devil's lie of you have to wait until you enjoy life. That you had to sacrifice everything. You had to sacrifice your relationships, your marriage, your family. You got to grind it out. You've heard these things, right? Sacrifice for a little bit of time so you can go experience the joy later on. No, that's incorrect. One of the biggest things I coach and I've mentored hundreds of people to the top 1%. One of the biggest things I've seen is they get misalignment. They don't have joy right now. Let's say you love your family, but you sacrifice your family thinking that that's what it's going to take to actually succeed. Well, if you are not finding joy from the thing that you're running for, then inevitably you're going to build your house on a foundation that will not last. You can have joy with your family and great relationships while building up a successful business. You can have it all if God put that into your heart. Why not be able to do that? In fact, I'd submit you can't succeed in your business long term if your foundation isn't right, if you're not living well, if your priority isn't your family, your faith, if you don't have good relationships now, you're not going to have good relationships later on. I had it flipped and I realized that I needed to learn myself how to lead myself and lead a good life. So I had to put things back into alignment. My church life got better. My prayer life became number one. My family and learning how to love my wife. These are all topics we can cover later on was huge. Learning now how to be a dad, how to be a friend, a son. Like these things I let go of and I didn't understand how to do them and I had to relearn how to do that. And once I had that in place, but at the same time, not giving up, also my priority in leading the business, right? It's not an excuse to lead a business that's not growing. Yes, things might be happening at home. Case in point, my wife gave birth this last year. We had a 5-year infertility journey. At the time, even when my wife gave birth and it was a midnight birth, that day, I still did a training for the team. So, yes, there's things in life that happen, but it doesn't mean that we can just give up our responsibility to our people in our business as well, too. I hope this makes sense that you're still with me. You know, leadership, that's one thing. What else is big in leadership? Here's another big issue I see that happens with myself and leader. We call it the management trap, but it really is this, it's this unconscious thing of laziness that I call it, which is we recruit a couple customers, we recruit a couple teammates, and we finally find some people that are really excited. And our mindset, our subconscious takes a step back and we get out of personal pipeline activity, recruiting, getting new leads, getting new sales. And we start getting into management mode. We say, I got to support the team. I got to make sure they do well. And what happens is an unconscious dependency on the team and what they do versus what you can do yourself. What I realize is that's a huge trap. A leader's number one thing in your business should be your own personal productivity. When was the last time you recruited someone? If I took a look at your last 90 days and I asked you, right, if someone comes up to me and they're complaining, they're like, James, my business is not growing, I feel stuck. Very simple. Let's look at the numbers. Last 90 days, how many people have you personally sold products or services to? Last 90 days, how many people have you personally recruited? Right? If you look at that number and it's less than what it is that you would want, there's the issue. Straight up. And I realized I was in that place where I had put my personal productivity secondary. And now it's a part of my philosophy. I realize always be recruiting, ABCs, right? Always be closing, always be in personal pipeline activity. Even when we're in Asia for a month, I was recruiting new customers and new partners every single week because you cannot coach and lead if you're not sharp there. That's probably one of the biggest things that I see that is an issue because you cannot teach someone where it is you haven't gone before. Okay. Last part about leadership is a philosophy. I used to think that being a leader means you had to know everything. You had to appear a certain way. You had to be perfect. You had to show people that there was no fear, that there's no emotion, that you had to have a guard up with your heart. That was the biggest mistake that I've ever made. And what I realized, especially when life turned around and business turned around, it was fascinating. I never did anything bad with our team. I didn't do anything wrong. But when times were tough, people just left quietly. No real conversation. And it wasn't on me. It was just they're like, you know what? We don't really feel connected. So times aren't good. So I'm just going to go do my other thing. And I don't blame anybody. And then what I realized was, I'm like, why was that the case? You know what it was? There was no vulnerability. There was no connection. I realized that I wasn't empathizing with people. I realized that my walls were so high, people felt like they couldn't get to know me or trust me. They thought that I wasn't a real person. When I started to realize is I needed to learn how to become vulnerable. I needed to learn how to actually share my heart. And that was a big thing. So now I laugh at myself a lot. Now that's why I'm doing a live like this, or I'm sharing something I never shared publicly before because there's nothing to hide. All the good, bad, and the ugly, that's fine. That's what makes the human experience amazing. So, question to you, are you being vulnerable and transparent? Not vulnerable for a pity party, vulnerable with inspiration. Show people how to actually overcome the realities of life. So I walk people through our infertility journey. I walk people through the challenges in our team. This last year, we had 5 leadership transitions. I walk people through that openly and transparently. And guess what? As you do that, you relate, you connect, you get way more trust, and you actually show people how to overcome the things that are the harder things in life. Here's a fact: the business is easy, right? Network marketing is easy. You put someone in front of the presentation and you get your team to do the same thing. The more you do that, the more sales there are. Easy, right? Life is hard. Relationships are hard. Those are the hard things that most people don't talk about, most leaders don't talk about. So people feel shamed and guilty when they go through a tough situation if you don't have a culture of transparency and vulnerability, but doing it in an inspiring way. Okay, point number one. I don't have much time. I hope that makes sense so far. Point number two, alignment. Systems need to be aligned. Systems need to be aligned. System is important. System is something that everyone knows, does, and it works. So here's a key question. Is your business, this is the goal, right? If our goal is to scale top 1%, have freedom, have flexibility in your network marketing business, what I realized is my systems were personality driven or leader driven rather than systems driven. Coined by our good friend Dana Harper. Shout out to him. Systems driven or leader driven. How do you know if your business is leader driven? If you leave your flock, will your business go down? Are you scared to leave the business for a week, a month, 3 months? If so, more than likely you're being leader driven. That means you have to be on every call. You have to close every single prospect. If you're not there, the team does nothing. I challenge the leadership then. That is being a disservice to your people because the business is not about us, it's about your people. So, as much as possible, can it be systems driven? Where do you build a system? If you find that you're doing something multiple times and is becoming monotonous and it's not income producing, probably you can systemize it. Do you have systems for onboarding, systems for customer onboarding, systems for sales, systems for leadership? There's a lot of different systems that are out there. Systems for lead generation, right? There's different types of things. Just think to yourself, what are the key parts to our business and how do we systematize, right? Now, at the same time, while you have systems, it's not just systems. We're not robots. The beauty of network marketing is relationships. That's one of the big keys. So you cannot just automate everything. I've seen people do this, and that's another death trap as well too. People try to automate everything, take themselves completely out of the picture, and gosh, now you just have a robot. That doesn't work. No, you build systems so that you can leverage them so that you can be high touch and relational. Build systems so you can free up time so you can build rapport. The biggest thing I do is disciple people. The biggest thing I do is mentor people. The biggest thing I do is work together with them on the harder stuff. Let's role play, for example, in the business. Let's overcome some mindset blocks. Let's go actually build your life together. Let's go be friends. Let's go do the other things that systems can take care of and we can do ourselves. Okay. So be high tech, but high touch. And always the leader should be thinking, how do we make things better and more efficient without stirring the pot too much? Because systems only work if they're scaled, right? But think to ourselves, are we leader driven or personality or systems driven? Last part here. Are your systems focused on the average person? So many times it's easy to make something look fancy, right? The more fancy or complex it is, the less scalable that it is. So the best systems in the world are something that the average person can do. In our company, there's a system that's called the system of growth. It's something that's changed the game around the world. Why? Because the newest person with no social media experience, that has no network marketing experience, can take it, make a couple posts a day, attract some leads, make some sales, make some money, and duplicate it. That's a good system. All right. So think to yourself, can the average person do that? Last focus, and this is what I'll end on. I talked about alignment in leadership, alignment in systems, finally, alignment in identity. This was the biggest one, right? You will never earn more than who it is that you are. And especially in a performance driven culture like network marketing, sales, and business, this is where a lot of us, at least for me, fall short. And here's what I realized. Okay. Number one, self worth versus net worth. You feel good when you accomplish. You feel good when you make money. You feel good when you get promoted, but you feel horrible when you're not. One thing I've noticed is, for example, most companies, they have titles or rank advancements, and you hit that rank however that it is in your company. But then all of a sudden your business slows down. Maybe you had a 1 week push or 1 month push, and then the next month and next week, it wasn't the same. You have a rank, but you're not getting paid as that. You know that. No one knows that. You know that. So you walk around feeling like a hypocrite. Well, I'm supposed to be this title, but I'm not getting paid as that. And there's this dichotomy and the split that happens in the soul and the spirit where you walk around and you feel guilty and you feel like a sham, you feel like a hypocrite, and that does not recruit well, right? Identity is important. When I lost everything, we were hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. When I went bankrupt, man, how do you sell the dream looking like a nightmare? That's tough. And I realized I needed to detach my own personal worth and the value I brought to people from my net worth. Huge, huge. How do you do that? For me, the only way is spiritual. Okay. You might be a person of faith. If so, this will make sense. If not, then I encourage you to look at this. It's the only way that I could do it. I tried affirmations, I tried, all types of things, but I knew the truth. I sat with it. The only way that I was able to change the value question was this: how valuable are we? That was the question. My pastor said this one day: the value of something is what someone's willing to pay for it. So the question was, what was willing to be paid for me or you? And for me, being Christian, Jesus paid for my life. So here's the question: how valuable is Jesus? Well, he's infinitely valuable. You can't even put a value on him, right? He created all value. So if I ever feel like I'm walking around low value, then I'm almost dissing Jesus. I am not accepting the gift that he gave to me personally. And I realized, I repented. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, Jesus. I put my value into my accolades, my achievements, my accomplishments rather than who you are. And when I realized that, here's the truth: I was as happy as I could be. Even when I was $12,000 a month in debt, building my business, I realized instead of working out of a grind, I worked out of value. And I realized I'm free. You're free if you choose to accept that, right? I chose to have not happiness, but joy. Happiness comes from happenings. Joy is a state, it's an identity. And I found joy in the Lord. Irony is now, even if you took away everything now, none of my joy stems from anything external. You can take away our business, you can take our money, you can take away whatever. As long as I have me and Jesus, life is good. If that aligns with you, comment amen below, right? And last part is this: why do we work? Here's a part that was really hard and why a lot of us take a step forward and two steps back. If you ever feel like you're working, but bad luck happens, prospects are backing out, deals aren't closing, you make some, but then it goes back. And it's like, how do I break through financially? Here's the weird thing: it's almost like a conundrum. You want to make money, but you don't want to feel desperate when you're talking to the prospect. But you know you need the prospect to sign up for you to make money. How do we do this? Here's the key: I realize I'm not working to make money. I'm working because I love it, right? You don't work to pay the bills. You work because you have value to give. You work because you want to impact. You work because you want to serve. And guess what? If you do that, a gift is something. If you look at your business and your ministry and your entrepreneurship, your products, your services, everything as a gift, it's free-handed. It's I give it to someone, I prospect someone. It's a free-handed gift. I know I have the opportunity to change your health, your life, your whatever that it is. I don't expect a payback from you. God is my economy, right? Kingdom is my economy. So I serve because he served me first, and I'm giving my gifts out there. I know God's going to pay somehow. I don't know how. If you look back in our comp plan and how things change around, I can only say it's been miraculous every single time. But what I've done and what you can do is, if you change the way that you work, and I work because I love to, I work because I love the people I've been called to serve. And I don't work because I need you to do anything or pay me anything. I work because I want to give you value. And I know God's going to bless somehow. He's going to turn on the faucet here, turn off the faucet here. I don't want to try to predict that, because I'd rather get paid what God can pay rather than what I can pay. Let me tell you this: God's better than any comp plan in the world. All right. Like, it has just been miraculous. So I play by those rules and I work so that I serve people. That's it. If you disconnect your own money from your work and your value, life is more fun. Your business is joyful. That's how, even if you're not making a lot of money in a network marketing business, or you feel like your finances are horrendous, you can still represent the opportunity well, because we're talking about the potential. We're talking about what this can do for someone else. We're not selling them our life. We're selling them what's possible. We're selling them what's possible with the product, the service, and the opportunity. We covered a lot real quick, but in summary, how do you go from burnt out to blessed? Align yourself in your leadership, align yourself in your systems, align yourself in your identity. If you do those things, I'm telling you, there's absolute freedom. And let me just end it with this. Thank you for bearing with me. My goal is, as I've been reflecting, I've been asking the Lord, who am I called to serve and how can I serve them the best? And I believe that God's walked me through this process. It's been a long journey. 2017 is when things turned around. Now it's been 8 years. Bankruptcy was in 2019. So it's been a 6-year journey since then, right? But I look back and I see just how he's been able to unpeel the layers so that we could build it back up the right way. And now my commitment is to serve and to share. I want to make sure that you too can achieve the fruits of what is possible in network marketing. Because I'll be honest, out of any business model that's in the world, I don't believe there's anything more rewarding financially, personally, spiritually, than anything that's out there. Why is it that people are not achieving the success that they're looking for long term? I believe there's just simple misalignment in some things. And I hope that today you can see that it's okay to be vulnerable. I hope that you can see today it's okay to mess up and then continue to rebuild. I hope you can see that there's so much more to you than meets the eye. So I hope that was impactful. I hope that was encouraging. If it was, share this, tag someone on this, subscribe to YouTube. I'm going to come back on with a lot more to unpack through all of these. These are very high level things. I'd love to hear your comments below on anything that impact you as well too. Other than that, can't wait to serve you more. God bless. Talk soon. Bye-bye.